Welcome to the Essentially You podcast, Amanda Laine. Girl, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
I am doing good as well. Navigating life one day at a
Aren't we all?
time. I know that's what we're going to be talking about today. How do we navigate? And like so many people, the day to day sometimes can just wipe us out. It's wiping me out recently. And so I'm really, really excited for this conversation. What we're going to be talking about is how we can rewire the brain, because we know that's where it's going down, to kind of disrupt some of those stress response patterns that a lot of us either have had for many years or we're triggering up more often than we would like right now as we step into 2022, especially with so many cases. Just yesterday, I get a 911 text message from my mom. My uncle Alex has got a very severe case of COVID, and I'm the practitioner in the family. And I spent 5 hours managing his care over the phone, scheduling all the appointments, getting all the stuff, all of it, you know what I'm saying? And so I have a feeling that so many of us are probably getting those types of text messages on the daily or maybe weekly, and having to drop whatever we've got going on. And that just raises the bar for more stuff. I would love to, before we get into the nitty gritty, is kind of what was your journey into this work?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, I'm one of the co-founders of Othership Breathwork. It's a guided breathing app. And we also have a physical space in Toronto as well, which is all about sauna and cold plunge therapy. It's just about to open as well, actually, once the restrictions get lifted, which is pretty exciting. But actually the breathwork component it was born out of COVID. Essentially, we were in the process of opening a much larger vision for our physical space. It was 15,000 square feet. It was in this really cool area of Toronto called the Junction. We were 1 week away from signing the lease, and then COVID hit. So it was 2 years ago. And thank God we were on the right side of timing, but essentially kind of rejigged our entire plan. And then we sat back and instead of reacting and feeling like sorry for ourselves because we had worked so hard up to that point, we kind of regrouped and we listened to our community, and most of them were saying, okay, I'm at home, I'm stressed, I can't leave, I'm, feel terrified, like what do I do? And we were offering before like in-person breathwork sessions at our space, and we decided let's try Zoom. Like no one had heard of Zoom at that point. So like, let's try Zoom breathwork and see what happens. And in the community, it was amazing. Like they got to release and just breathe through a lot of tough emotions that they were having at home. And that's when we realized that we had ideas before about all this, but then the research that followed and just the physical proof from people writing us constantly saying, oh my gosh, I've never felt this light. I've never felt like I've released anything. And they're just breathing. So like the breath is everything. The breath is your direct relation and your direct connection into your nervous system. So if your breath is in any way constricted, and so too to that exact degree is your life. They follow suit. And it seems so almost comic when I say it because we breathe like 27,000 breaths a day. We're constantly taking these breaths, but so often they go unnoticed. And if only we would just pay attention to our breath and how we're breathing, and if it's constricted, if it's coming from our belly or our chest, how it sounds, how it feels, because that is the key to your stress. If you can control your breath in certain times, while you're driving, while you're eating, when you're walking, when you're in stressful states, then that is going to kind of alleviate how you're able to deal with day-to-day stress. It's really amazing.
I agree. And we look at kind of the physiology of it all. I'm going to just kind of break down as we're talking about the science and we're talking about the physiology, is when we're in sympathetic mode, which majority of us are in often. I'm not going to lie, I've raced over here to get into this interview. I'm probably still in sympathetic mode right now as we're talking, but we know that in sympathetic mode, we breathe shallow. And the majority of us, I would say on average, trigger into a stress response mode, a sympathetic stress response mode, dozens of times a day, totally unconscious to us. And that shallow breath is really doing us no favors, and it's keeping us kind of in that state. And one of the fastest ways to rewire and get into parasympathetic, so that rest and digest mode, really the only way that I really know that can really shift state is by breath, or an impromptu like dance party. Like you can put some Whitney on real quick, some Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody. And that could shift your state as well. So often we're not in that mindset of just like, let me put on some Spotify. So breath is the fastest way that we can shift, we can rewire the brain, especially when we're in it. Now, I know breath work, I've only done breath work in person.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had a facilitator, and it's just a phenomenal experience every single time. I've probably done breath work 30 to 50 times, but it's always, for me, it's always been in person. And so I would love to speak into, if you have anything else to add, particularly about breath moving into the parasympathetic, would love to dive into that deeper. But I also want to explore, and I don't know how many people listening, if you've ever done breath work, either in person with somebody or facilitator or on an app, have you found when you guys moved it to Zoom that people had the same kind of experience that they did in person?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It was actually one of the things that we were like, oh, I don't know if we can do it in Zoom. Like, this seems weird. Like the in-person connection is so important. But what the feedback we got from people was totally shocking. Everyone was writing us saying, I went deeper than I ever have when I was on Zoom because it was in the comfort of my own home. I had my own pajamas on. I had my pillow beside me. I had my eye mask on. I knew I could go right to bed after if I wanted to. I knew I could roll over and cry if I wanted to. So they felt a little bit safer to release if they were in their own space, as opposed to, they said, we've done breathwork with you guys many times in person, but they're like, I've never wanted to fully cry or fully let go because I didn't know the people in the room with me. So it's interesting. I think it goes both ways. There's power in both. I love group breathwork in person. It's so amazing to hear the room breathing, to feel the energy all around you.
There's so much
especially for
energy.
Exactly. And especially for those longer hauls where you're doing more sympathetic activating breath work. So you're getting into that state where you're tingling, you're clawing up, like you're going deep. That is really powerful in person as well. But there are times where my husband and I, who's one of the other co-founders, we just sit down, we lay down, do it together. And it's like this intimate connection together that we wouldn't have had if we had other people around us. So there's both sides to it. And I think that for the shorter journeys that are, 15 minutes, even 4-minute boosters, really nice mellow ones before bed, like the app is such a great thing because you can just go to bed right after. And that's when you really can activate that parasympathetic state because you're at home. It's been a really good response from people, and just having it in their back pocket, because the breath you always have on you. So then why not have a little tool that can help you kind of keep track?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a feeling, I know breathwork it's kind of become, let's say, in the world of everybody, we've been hearing about it. But I wouldn't say that everyone in my community has. I would definitely wager to say the majority of my community maybe hasn't ever done a breathwork session. Definitely have breath techniques that they've done for sure. So let's break it down like you would be introing your class for breath work to get started, to kind of really explain what the experience is.
It's similar to meditation, but in meditation, you're trying to let go of thoughts. And, it's the constant battle that people have, like, oh, I recognize a thought and I let it go. And then you kind of come out of meditation. You're like, wait, did I do it? Like, did I meditate? Like, I was thinking about thoughts, but I was letting them go. And it's hard. And for me, I like to explain meditation as an active form of meditation. So you're using an anchor to keep yourself in the present moment. And that anchor is your breath. So by tuning in, by listening to us guiding, and our breathworks in particular versus some other companies they're really artistically curated. So they're really focused on the guidance with the tone of our voice, the music we use, how we count to the cadence. So it's really fun and engaging. You want to do it every day. You want to hear the music. You want to see the facilitator. Like, you want to really partake in it because it feels like you're going to like a full class. And then the way we introduce it is that we explain the technique we're going to be doing that day. So maybe it's a breath work for discovering your inner child. And that would be more of a longer session because it's going to be about 30 minutes long. We explain that you're going to be going into more of an upregulated sympathetic inducing style of breath, which may seem counterintuitive because breath work is meant to calm you down. But what you're doing is we're ramping up the nervous system, but we're doing so consciously. So we're sending signals to our brain, hey, we're ramping up, we're getting energized, but we're doing so knowing that we're heading there. So you're able to actually build your resilience to stress. So it's like getting in an ice bath. You get in an ice bath, it seems terrifying, but you get in, you find your breath, you're in that stressful state, but you're consciously there. So then you're actually building your ability to handle day-to-day stressors. So that fast breath work is resilience training. And then in that fast style of breath work, you're changing your body's chemistry levels. So you're actually playing with carbon dioxide level is the big one. You're actually blowing off more CO2 with the really fast exhales. And when you blow off that CO2, you're actually for moments of time, not allowing the oxygen to shift from your blood into your brain. So you're actually able to quiet this default mode network, quiet the kind of the thinking analytical mind. And then that is also where you get to these like tight states. So your wrists may clench, is a thing called tetany, and that's playing with the calcium levels in your body. You can get tight for a moment in time. You can make like a little O mouth with your mouth. So there's physical reactions that can happen, but then what's happening in your mind and your state of thoughts are so incredible. You're able to fully let go. You're able to kind of enter more of a subconscious part of your mind and access more memories and thoughts and emotions that maybe you've pushed down quite a bit. So longer haul journeys, you're able to kind of move through a lot. And the whole time we're guiding with counting. So it sounds like in, two, out, two, and you're just breathing to the cadence of the breath of the music. Yeah. And then by the end, there's a meditation, and the meditation hits so hard because you've entered that really vulnerable state that the words hit you way more than if you were just lying down listening to a basic meditation.
And could you demo a quick breath work just to kind of give a sense of it, of like what would be a like, and I know you said that there are like 4-minute boosters, there's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but 30, like a 30-minute. I've done various versions of breath work, but so often I'm usually running the sympathetic piece so that we could get to that next level of consciousness and really kind of help to rewire. But just to kind of give people an example of like, what does that breath look like? Because I know it takes a little bit of practice to get your rhythm in it.
For sure. Do you want to actually hear one of our breathwork recordings, like a little clip of it, or would you like me to?
That would be awesome.
Sure. Let me just share.
We are loading it up.
All right, everyone, stay tuned. All right, this is my husband, Harry, and he made a beautiful session called the Meta. So I'll play the beginning of this for a minute.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Very nice. Very nice. Nice voice too.
Yeah,
he's
got a beautiful voice.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a really beautiful voice. So perfect, so relaxing. I feel like people listening right now on their way to the work or doing whatever, they're probably like in a bit of a trance state and want to meet Harry.
Meet Harry. I know. That's for all the ladies out there.
I love that 4 count, giving us a sense of what we experience. And I love when music is paired with breath work, by the way.
It's so fun.
Just makes it so much more potent and so much more relaxing. I just feel like I can get really deep into the work. But what the beautiful thing is, and I wanted to walk away, in this conversation, was that if anyone chooses to explore this, that they are fully guided.
Exactly. You're fully guided. You're fully held the whole time. And you'll notice a difference. Like if you do a few sessions, and then it's not just the app that's important. The app is like a great tool to get you introduced, but then the real work is on your day to day. So when you're waking up in the morning and you're getting rushed in the morning and you're eating your breakfast or you're running out the door, how are you breathing? Like that's how you're starting your day. So can you, even if you are heading into a really stressful day, can you be mindful of what you're doing? Like don't look at your phone and try to drink coffee at the same time. Like focus on one thing, find that slow, deep breath. And notice if you're mouth breathing a lot too. On the day-to-day, we should always be nasal breathing. That is the easiest way to stay in the parasympathetic state. Think about the mouth is really meant for eating, but the mouth is also on us for when you're getting chased. You have to run, you have to really like activate and use that full stress response is when we mouth breathe. So if you're mouth breathing on the day-to-day, when you're sending emails, when you're driving your car, that's actually sending signals again to your brain that you're not okay. So there's a few tricks to walk away with is nasal breathing day-to-day, always focusing on a slow, deep breath. Even if you're in a state that is stressing you out, you're not going to react the same way and you're going to be able to recover a lot faster.
I love that. I love that so much. One of my little strategies, and this is the deeper work. I'm so excited to have you on because I really wanted to introduce my audience to breath work. Although I know, again, people have been hearing about it. I wanted them to get a feel for it. But something that I do, which I didn't do on my way to this interview, but oftentimes I try, is I'll do 5 deep breaths or a 5-second count in, I'll hold for 5 seconds, and then I will do an 8-second count out, especially when I'm in a stuck thought.
Yes.
Or like I'm in a stuck place, or I'm having a negative thought, or just I'm not in alignment and I need to get realigned. That's going to be one of my favorite strategies. And then when I want to do the deeper, like the uncovering, what I love is that you guys are opening the possibility to all the things that breath work can be. I think for me, always when I'm doing breath work, it's like this deeper work, but it doesn't always have to be that. But I know a lot of people show up for that reason, just to kind of really kind of unpeel the layers. And,
yeah, it's like therapy.
Yeah, it's like therapy. Exactly. That's exactly why I do it. But you're right. I'm always pulling myself out of, my thoughts. I would say that breath work, the physicality of it, like the anchor, the physicality of it, it's so different. But I feel like the end result feels very similar.
You can really feel it. That's what I always say. When you finish a session, you can feel different
than when you started.
Different. Yeah, which is like that tangible result.
Two of my best friends, Jen Hootie and Alex Moscow, have a incredible, they call it the Vision Amplifier. And it's this incredible experience. They use music, he's a DJ, and they swap, and then she moves you through a visualization at the end.
Cool.
It's gorgeous. It's usually about an hour.
It's a long haul.
It's a long haul. And it's one of my favorite breath works to do is with them. But I cannot tell you how many times, and I've done it with hundreds of people in the room, dozens of people in the room. And, people, especially those who've never done it before, literally have massive breakthroughs, massive breakthroughs, like breakthroughs. And there's always a half a dozen people crying. Moving through so much emotion. And it's just so powerful. I bear witness for my own self, but watching so many other people experience it is just such a beautiful experience. But I can't imagine doing it from the comfort of your own home with your own jammies and your own eye mask, your own pillow, your own little comfy, your favorite blanket. It's a very different experience, and I can totally get down with that.
Yeah. And it's fun. A lot of our people too are doing it with groups of friends at home. So we have the longer haul journeys on our app as well. And then we're trying to teach people like how to run your own like epic night. So it's like you put this app on, you can maybe smoke a little bit of weed if you want, go down with your friends, like lay down, do the breath work. And it's a full experience. Like you're saying, like you can go really deep, and it's instead of like going to a bar or a restaurant or like the classic thing people do with drinking. Friends when they want to drinking. Like there's other ways to expand your consciousness and actually like come out of it, maybe talk with your friends in a way you never have before. Like it will open you up, which I think is what alcohol doesn't do.
Alcohol absolutely does not do that. I'm just going to real clear. We talk about it all the time, talk about alcohol on the show all the time, but alcohol is a neurotoxin. It's a poison.
Exactly.
And so at the end of the day, especially for my ladies, especially as we get older, it is doing us no favors. And this is literally the antithesis of what alcohol is doing to your brain. Like this is literally healing and rewiring states of consciousness and healing, at times, healing trauma, healing stuck energy, healing thoughts that aren't serving you, healing patterns that aren't serving you. This is why, talk about such a potent form of therapy that you can do at the comfort of your own home using, my best friend calls it getting high on your own supply.
Exactly.
Getting high on your breath. You just leveraging your breath to break through patterns. Now, I want to speak into a little bit of cold therapy and sauna as well as some of the other things. Now, mind you, most of us don't have access to cold therapy. My friends, my besties that I was just talking about, they have a cold plunge at their house, and almost all of us have saunas, but I know not everyone does. And so I wanted to really speak into breath today, but some of us do have some access to things. And I'd love to just have you talk a little bit about the benefits of rewiring. How are these connected? Because when I think about cold therapy, or I think about even sauna, oftentimes I'm thinking about the physiological benefits that come along, boosting the immune system, helping to support the metabolism, helping to rewire the stress response system. But I'd love to understand a little bit more of the connection.
Yeah, well, like you said there, you talked about one of them that really connects them, and that's the stress response. So there's this blanket hormesis, which is exposing your body to a short-term stressor that in the long term would be potentially harmful. And breathwork falls in that upregulated style of breathwork. Cold therapy and sauna both fall in that, because like you said earlier, like people are having a hard time dealing with stress, and it's because, as a society right now, our lives are very, well, I guess COVID's a little different story, but pre-pandemic, our lives were very I would say like easy compared to hunter gatherers back in the day. Like we have air conditioning, we have heat, we have hot water, we have cold water. You have like a warm jacket if it's cold out. Like a lot of people have access to things that have made our ability to handle stress very bad. If you think about back in the day, they would be running and hunting for their food. They'd be starving, then they would get it, and then they would be exposing their bodies to the really cold elements. So when other stressors came along, ability to already handle stress was quite high, and ours now is very low. So we go through these peaks and valleys for when stress comes about. So how can we make the valley less low? And that's why exposing yourself to these stressors like cold, like hot, it helps to raise that valley point a little bit higher so that when day-to-day stressors come along, we're able to handle them a little bit better. So that's how I consider them all to be relating. And then also the breath, when you're in these stressors, when you're sitting in the ice bath, when you're sitting in the sauna, how do you not react? How do you like stay in the ice bath for 2 minutes? How do you stay in the sauna for maybe half an hour when usually at 15 minutes, you're like, I'm out of here, I'm done. Well, it's through the breath. And that's like showing you firsthand evidence. Hey, your body's in stress. You're sending signals to your brain that you're not okay, but how can you combat that? And it's through the breath. So it's like the direct evidence for how the breath can help handle stress. So that's what I love about it. Yeah, they're so connected. And it's like the evidence for each one is right there.
I love that. Well, in hormesis, we've talked a lot about this on the show. I'm obsessed with mitochondria,
Yeah.
mainly because most of us are struggling with energy issues and we just don't have that resilience. Our mitochondria aren't getting stressed enough. They don't experience enough hormesis because you're right, girl. I have a blanket on me right now. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. I like to be cozy, you know, and so very much most of us do. You know, we have. I used my heat warmers in my car yesterday my seat warmers when I was you know driving somewhere. And so putting our bodies into a state of stressor, it really allows to create that resilience, not only neurologically, but also cellularly through those mitochondria, which I love a lot. I love that.
Yeah.
So Amanda, honey, where can we plug in? Like, talk to me a little bit about the app.
Yeah, the app is called Othership, all one word, and it's in the App Store and Google Play Store. It launched in November, and it's been going really well so far. So it's been quite an exciting Christmas months. And then on the website, it's just othership.us, so US. And that will show you actually two sides of the page. It has our breathwork side and the physical side. So if any listeners are close to Toronto or are ever coming to the city of Toronto, we are going to be opening hopefully in February. And it's a 50-person sauna and 4 ice baths. And we're doing performances in towel waving and essential oils, like bringing this whole new element to the sauna that no one's really ever seen before. So, and then the ice bath to follow. So everything is all there. And if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to DM us as well on Instagram. We'd love to connect.
Thank you so much for coming on and really enlightening us today. It's such a fun convo. And I really want to inspire people to go and check out the app. At the very least, you know, just start diving into breathwork, start researching about breathwork. This is such a powerful tool that we have access to every single second of the day.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much again.
Of course. And I want to just make one more quick note is that the app has a bunch of free sessions on it as well for people to try. So when you download it, you make an account and then there's like a little X button where the payment wall is. And then that takes you to the app page. And we have 6 free sessions that rotate every now and then. So you can actually try it before having to pay as well. So I want to just make that clear because it's really important for people to actually get access to it and give it a try.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that tidbit. That is so important to know because I'm going to go download the app right now and try it out as well. I can't wait. I loved Harry's voice. So I'm on the train and I just know how powerful this is already. So I'm about to go do that right now. I hope you guys go and do that as well. It'll be in the show notes. And again, Amanda, honey, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.